You reckon there's going to be any surprises in South Carolina as the crew goes south? Trump seems to be way in the lead, but Cruz may have some surprises. He has support, I mean, Cruz does, in almost every one of the segments of disinfected Americans. And Donald has the same thing. He's stirred up the angry American at the way things are. He's now the top choice among men and women in all age groups. But don't sell Cruz short, because he may surprise you, Wendy.
That's right. And Hillary Clinton is leading the vote for her party as well, but she's having a big problem. She's not attracting enough women. Heather Sells has this look at the battle for votes as the campaigns head south.
Here's your next president, Donald Trump.
Heading into South Carolina, Donald Trump already has a solid lead. The latest Real Clear Politics average of recent polls shows the billionaire with 36% support compared to almost 20% for his nearest competitor, Ted Cruz. Trump hopes to build on the momentum from his New Hampshire win.
If we win here, after winning so big in New Hampshire, all of these characters are going to give it up. We're going to run the table, and we will make America great again. That I can tell you.
What is extraordinary about his New Hampshire win is the breadth of his victory. Trump won in virtually all categories. He captured both men and women in the city and the countryside. He won with voters of all ages, both conservatives and moderates, and in every issue group. Cruz says it's clear he's the main challenger to Trump.
One of the most important conclusions coming out of these first two states is that the only candidate who can beat Donald Trump is me.
Polls show Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush at 3rd and 4th place right now. Two GOP candidates are no longer in the race. Carly Fiorina and Chris Christie have dropped out after weak showings in New Hampshire. The Democratic race is also hotly contested. Bernie Sanders crushed Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire, but she leads him in South Carolina with 62% compared to his 32%. Clinton has acknowledged that she must figure out how to reach young voters, especially women. In New Hampshire, Sanders pulled in more than 80% of women voters under 30, and Clinton's reaching out to them.
Even if they are not supporting me now, I support them.
Sanders is also threatening Clinton with an impressive fundraising machine, and he's invested heavily in Nevada, which holds its Democratic caucus on February 20th. He's clearly going after the minority vote, but so is Clinton. This week, the Congressional Black Caucus PAC voted to endorse her. If the polls are correct, Clinton and Trump should easily win in South Carolina. But the other candidates are fighting to catch up, and March is coming when more than 20 states will cast their votes. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Well, it's an amazing, amazing election. And you know, this is a great country. We're the greatest country on the face of the earth. We have a heritage of freedom. Men and women have died that we might have the freedoms we enjoy. And to see the highest office in our land become a football in this crazy mess that's going on right now, it just saddens me a great deal. So, well, maybe democracy will triumph, but I'm not sure how much triumph we're going to have. Right now, it's not very serious, but we've survived in the past and will continue to survive. And I want you to be reminded that I'll be interviewing Donald Trump when he comes to Regent University for a presidential forum on February 24th. Well, in other news, Iran is celebrating its Islamic Revolution by trying to humiliate the United States. John Jessup has that.
Thanks, Pat. That's right. Iran is indeed celebrating the 37th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution today by releasing new images of a captured American sailor crying. In January, the Iranian Navy took 10 American sailors hostage for one day, saying their patrol boats had entered Iranian territory. The new footage shows one sailor crying and wiping his eyes. An Iranian expert with the Middle East Media Research Institute told CBN News it was all intended to shame America.
Khamenei, supreme leader, said it came from God that we managed to capture U.S. sailors, it was in purpose of humiliating the United States. That even though they sat and spoke to the negotiating table and came up with the JCPOA, Iran is still stronger, powerful than the United States.
Iran bragged that it was the only country to dare to stand up to the U.S. military. The coal industry is breathing a collective sigh of relief for now after the Supreme Court halted President Obama's clean energy plan while a lower court decides whether it's legal. 27 states joined the coal industry to file suit against the plan. It requires states to drastically reduce carbon dioxide emissions by about a third by the year 2030. Opponents call it an unprecedented power grab and say it's another example of the president circumventing Congress to get his way. The president's plan will likely be tied up in litigation until after he leaves office, but some say he's working to get around that too.
A moratorium on federal coal mined from leases on federal lands in the West, which, by the way, supplies most of the coal mined in the United States. And at the same time, they have an insurance policy to stop coal on private lands with their so-called stream protection rule, which doesn't protect streams, and it certainly doesn't protect jobs and employment. So I think this is all part of a very calculated plan, part of the war on coal that we've all heard so much about.
And Pat Popovich says he'd like more emphasis placed on making coal cleaner instead of taking it off the table.
Well, we have the coal lady here with us from West Virginia. That was a shot of your high school?
That's a shot of Williamson, West Virginia. And that's where I went to high school.
You went in Williamson?
Where all those coal trucks go through.
What's your take on what the president's doing? You can weigh in right now. I'll give you a forum. It's right there for you.
The coal mining jobs, these are good paying jobs. We're talking $60, $70, up to $100,000 a year that are being taken away from West Virginians. I have friends that I went to high school with that are on Facebook that have lost their jobs in the mines. They're having to move out of the state. So this is very good news, and we just got to continue to pray that these regulations don't go through, because we need our coal. We need our coal, and the coal miners need their jobs.
If we don't have coal, we don't have electric power. It's just that simple. And ladies and gentlemen, they don't have an alternative. They talk about clean energy and all that stuff. There is no way. They don't have enough of the clean. They can't burn but so much biomass or so much whatever else they're going to use to burn in the furnaces to keep the power grid alive. And the only we've got the biggest supply of coal in the world, and we need to use what we have. Excuse me, what goes on here? There's something, I think we have dust in this studio or something. It's hard to talk. All right. But anyhow, maybe I'm all choked up in favor of my dear co-hostess's plight on West Virginia.
God bless you. God bless West Virginia.
John, what's next?
Well, Pat, in December, Defense Secretary Ash Carter ordered the military to open all combat jobs to women. That order went into effect January 1st, bringing pressure not to lower standards just so women could get into those combat roles. But one branch of the military is working to prove that its high standards don't have to be compromised. Caitlin Burke brings us that story.
The decision to incorporate women into combat roles is being implemented, but not without some concern from top military officials.
Right now, they're saying we're not going to change any standards. There will be great pressure, whether it's 12 months from now, 4 years from now, because the question will be asked, well, we've let women into these other roles, why aren't they staying in those other roles?
Many feel that if the current standards can remain in place under this new policy, women will be welcome to try out for the combat jobs now open to them, because they will have proven they can meet the same standards that have produced success in the past. One branch has been putting that idea to practice for the last 30 years.
The U.S. Coast Guard trains one of its most elite positions out of the base here at Elizabeth City. They're known as aviation survival technicians, or rescue swimmers. There's currently about 320 active duty swimmers. 3 of them are women.
The Coast Guard has set standards for men and women equally, and I feel if they can pass those standards, or the Coast Guard feels like they can pass those standards, that they can go out and do the same job that we can.
The training to become an active duty swimmer has one of the highest attrition rates in the military, with many classes starting at 24 and graduating 5 or less.
Training is difficult because of the environments that we go into. It's not every day that we go into the worst case scenario, but we train for that worst case scenario, or the bad storms, the hurricanes, and we train hard enough so that we can operate safely in those environments.
Jamie Meshkoff is the only female currently going through training. She says that while it can be intimidating that so few women make it, it's important for her to pass because she's proven she can handle the job, not because of her gender.
I'm one of the brothers, one of the guys on the team, and I'm going to push through just as much as they are. So I don't think of myself like I'm the female getting through. No. I just am a person here in school trying to make it.
Meshkoff says that while some of the physical aspects of AST school are especially challenging for her, she's found that mental toughness is what's most important for her to succeed.
That mental, internal dialogue, always pushing yourself. You can't think negatively here, and you can't say woe is me, or you can't say, oh my gosh, they're always pinpointing on me. You can't play the me game. Everyone's doing the same thing you are, and everyone's in pain, everyone's hurting, everyone's not feeling their best, and they're pushing through. You got to push through.
Very few men and even fewer women make it through the AST program, but for the elite who do, the expectations are high.
Never give up. Give everything you got. Do what you're trained to do, and go out and be safe and come back safely.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Air Station, Elizabeth City.
Well, unfortunately, Meshkoff wasn't able to complete the training, but a lot of people don't on their first try. And Pat, she told CBN News she plans to give it another shot.
Well, God bless her. I think that's very noble. But let me ask you, I have, years ago, was in the Marine Corps, and my occupational specialty is combat infantry. That's what I was trained to do.
In layman's terms, that's shooting with a gun.
That's walking in the mud, it's crawling through barbed wire, it is going through all kinds of arduous things and getting shot by other people. Now, why would a woman want that?
Well, this is a little different training.
This is different, I know, but I'm just asking, they are now going to, the feminists have gotten to a point where women are going to be drafted and put into combat units. Why would any woman in her right mind want that?
I don't know, but women, there are women warriors, And,
well, they are? Well, the Amazons?
I understand the spirit of a warrior.
I am a woman.
And,
it's crazy.
It's a little crazy. I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
Well, but the feminists, a lot of these women are going to wake up and say, our feminist sisters haven't done us any favors. I mean, going into primary training and boot training in the infantry is tough. It is hard duty.
Yeah.
And then when you get into a combat situation, you're living in trenches and you're eating K rations and there's mud and all the rest. Why would anybody want that?
Yeah, I would go if I could take my makeup. If I could take my hairspray and my makeup.
I'm sure your hairspray would be very valuable when the enemy's coming over the trenches at you. Or let me get my hairspray. Okay.
Exactly. I'm not a good candidate, but I think there are some women that feel that call.
Well, why don't we let those get separate? But I think the average woman, maybe there's a masochistic thing, if they want. I mean, that's bondage. That's 50 Shades of Grey square. Okay, that's my take on it. Thank you. But you're looking at somebody who's been there, done that, and it ain't something for a woman, I don't think. John.
Well, Pat, we salute all who serve. A good report in health news. Education and a healthy lifestyle can help cut the risk of dementia as you get older. A new study gives the strongest evidence yet that education and better cardiovascular health are key reasons the number of dementia cases is dropping, or at least helping people postpone the disease. One expert at the National Institute on Aging tells the New York Times that the number of cases will still rise because the population is getting older. But he says the new study shows what people do is important to help fight dementia. And Pat, we know you don't have to worry because you're as sharp as a tack.
Well, you're so kind. Whatever your name is.
John is a smooth operator, isn't he?
He's
John Jessup,
All
you are a
right,
smooth
John,
operator.
you're up for a raise, baby. We'll do everything we can to help you.